Hey gang, so I'm here to review a new candle from Bath & Body Works White Barn Candle Company, and that is the Autumn Night Candle. This is in sort of the White Barn Autumn collection. A lot of returning favorites, one or two newbies, things like Flannel, Fresh Balsam, Marshmallow Fireside, Harvest Gathering, Autumn, what else is in there? Sort of a lot of the standards. They come out every year with an addition to a couple of new ones. So this is a new one. I did also purchase Autumn. If you look on facebook.com/TouchTheFireTwice, I grabbed that one. And I may pick up Harvest Gathering or something like that because I do enjoy that candle. And I really I'm completely in love with the art direction of this collection. Some of the White Barns from past years were a little bit, messy. They first were coming back with the White Barn labeling for some of their more, conceptual sense, the non-foodies and things like that, back in 2012, and it was kind of ugly then. 2013 came back with a little bit nicer labeling. You had sort of the scroll work font there and whatever, and still the standard, the lids, but the lids still said Bath & Body Works on them, and they were the standard, gold lids that we've come to know. But they really went over the top in the best possible way with this most recent fall 2014 Autumn White Barn collection, for a couple of reasons. So first of all, the lids now have the scrolled white, there I am, hello, the scroll White Barn imprint in there. We'll get to the lid in a second. The labels I really like, so it's still one large label, but they make it seem like it's kind of higher end than it is. So we've got sort of the metallic, again, I think there's like silver, gold, and in this case sort of a copper metallic, just like sort of some sort of plant with leaves in the background. Reminds me a lot of the Perfect Christmas set, like back in 2009 when I first started. They had evergreen, frosted cranberry, and winter that came in labels that were similar to this, but it actually covered the entire glass around the candle, which would be a little bit over the top in this case. Then you've got what feels like just sort of like a paper, like cardstock label. It's a different texture on the label here, and it just says White Barn, very small, Autumn Night, with a little, kind of looks like a scrapbooking thing with a little stitching there, and it feels it's actually different textures. So that's a little rough, and this, while it actually though all is just one label, you can sort of see the edge along here, but really just lovely. And anything like this metallic sort of reminds you of like a mercury glass or something, and the light just bounces off of it. The flames look beautiful at night with it. Just really, really lovely, and it actually matches here my my leaf sort of placemat, which is funny. And then the lids. People seem to love or hate these. I love these lids. So you have these little decorative, same metal as the lid itself. These little decorative leaves, which are attached to it. And they don't fit perfectly, but it's just enough of a little hint where it either can cover the label, or it can go to the side, or right over there. And it's just a little extra touch that I think is really nice to make it decorative. And again, White Barn, the stores are supposed to be more, the true brand new White Barns that are basically only in, I think, Illinois and Ohio right now, but hopefully they'll spread wide again, are supposed to be a little bit more higher end with the decor, with the style, and with the sort of different options that they have and home decorative items that they sell. So this is more a little along those lines, a little more, a little touch of class to it. Which again, some people may say it's like tacky and cheap, but I love it. I know some folks have mentioned that like they have trouble with like putting the lid on, having that go in the wax, but I mean, I think it's pretty easy just to go like that. The hardest thing for me was sniffing in stores. I always tilt it up, and you feel like you're gonna pop them off. So just be a little more careful, but I think it's worth it. The other thing is, I usually don't put my lids below candles when they're burning, but in this case, it just looks really nice. It kind of frames it, so you set that like that. You put your candle on it however you want, and it just, it holds it in place there. It almost makes so you don't really need, their bigger decorative metal sleeves, which cover the label and the wax color anyhow for the most part. So I think that just looks really pretty. I really like it. It's decorative, in itself in the candle, and it seems higher end than some of their other candles that they sell now and ones that they sold in the past. So thumbs up for that. Again, a lot of the fragrances are returning favorites. I'll never fault them for bringing back Autumn. I love that. Harvest Gathering, I ended up really loving last year. I'm surprised it's back, but I like it. Flannel, I enjoy, but it's kind of weird. I don't love it. It's basically a repackage of an old Slatkin from the 2012 Forest collection. I think it was called Black Forest Woods, I want to say. But anyhow, I really love this collection and almost all of the candles that are in it. And they're not just all white wax, which sometimes would happen with the White Barn collections. This is a beautiful, deep, like dusky, like at dusk, a night blue sky. Just a pure, deep blue, kind of almost royal, and I love it. So, Autumn Night. When we first heard of it, it sounded like, based on the notes, that it might be Autumn Day from 2013 and 12, aka originally released 2011 as Acorn and Fig, but then came back the next 2 years as Autumn Day. But actually, sniffing it, I don't believe it is that candle. It has similarities, but it's absolutely 100% not a duplicate repackage, which I wouldn't have minded because it doesn't seem to be coming out this year, and I do like it. But I almost think I might like this one better. So let's first compare, or let's read the notes to learn more what this is supposed to be. But again, I wouldn't have put it past B&BW White Barn to release a candle called Autumn Day and then the next year release the same candle calling it Autumn Night, because they've done crazier things. But the notes on it: nutmeg and cinnamon stick are layered over a rich base of applewood and cedar to evoke the perfect autumn night. So you're thinking spicy applewood. We had applewood bonfire last year, which was applewood. There may have been some cedar in it. I liked it. It was a little bit too sweet, a little bit kind of just like a sweeter version of Fireside with some apple in it versus applewood. And this is not that. When I first sniffed it, I thought it might be Autumn Day, Acorn and Fig. But upon further review, it's definitely not. So first, I'll tell you what this smells like, and then I have 3 candles here to compare it to kind of give you my comparison of what it is. Now, the other thing is I burned this. I think I burned it twice. Burns beautifully. It's a deep, dark blue wax pull when it's lit. And it's such a great scent. I wouldn't even call it cologne-y. It's definitely something that's more conceptual, so it's, a little bit heavier, but it's a fall candle, so what do you want? You've got some that cedarwood. Cedarwood is always going to be a sweeter wood, kind of like more of a wet smell. It's not as much of a dry, like maybe a birch or as like thick and heavy as maple. Cedarwood in their candles is always there's a little bit of a redness or sweetness to it. And then what else did they say? The applewood, same thing, but it's not as sweet as the applewood bonfire. It's in the same family as the applewood bonfire candle. They say cinnamon stick and nutmeg. I kind of disagree with that. It could be in there, but I think it's actually a little bit more intricate of a spice blend. I think they're saying cinnamon and nutmeg because people won't be scared off by that. I really don't get cinnamon. I really don't get much of a nutmeg either, which usually comes across creamy in Bath & Body Works candles. They could be in there, but small amounts. They're just marketing it as heavier. I actually get a bit of kind of cardamom. So actually, when I smelled this, I thought that it might be the Pumpkin Hayride candle, which had, to me, a really strong cardamom in it from last year, which is not coming back. I have it packed away somewhere. I only burned it once or twice because it was so heavy with cardamom that it smelled like Indian food to me. And I love Indian food, but when I was trying to burn a fall candle for a hayride, I didn't need it to smell like I had Indian takeout sitting in the kitchen. So I didn't like that one. I don't know where it's at right now, so I can't compare them side by side. It's not that, but it does have a bit of cardamom to it, I think. Comparing it to the reason I don't believe it's Autumn Day, aka Acorn and Fig, so that's right here. The notes on this one, at least last year, were inspired by the fresh air and brilliant colors of a stroll through blah, blah, blah. Oak, citrus, and golden amber. Oak, yes. Citrus, yes. Amber, sure. Kind of that drippingly sweet or cloying amber. But also fig, which usually in candle form comes across as creamy but powdery at the same time. Not so much like the fig Newtons that you know, but a little bit. Like really kind of, it hits your nose straight ahead. It's intense, dark fruit, but with a powdery note to it. So it's not so much just sweet fruity. And there's a lot of that in Autumn Day, Acorn and Fig. Definitely fig, some sandalwood. It's a heavy, heavy fragrance. Whereas Autumn Night, it's so toned down. It's got a little bit of that fig, perhaps, but it's just a little bit cleaner. There's not the sandalwood or the amber to make it so powdery and heavy and cloying and overwhelming. It's a little lighter, a little sweeter. So it's almost, I'd say this is a little bit more approachable and probably, more people will like it. It's a little more mainstream than say Autumn Day. It was an intense candle. Between that amber, sandalwood, oak is always heavy. They kind of replaced the oak, I would say. Actually, yeah, I would say maybe they toned down the fig, added a little bit of sweetness with the applewood, and then replaced, say, the oak and amber with like the cedar, perhaps. So you kind of can swap out like the wood notes and the fruit notes, and you can kind of see where they're similar but different. Give you another sniff here. Oh gosh, I love this so much. I actually think that I'm gonna have to get more of these. Which I've been trying to hold back on getting, 2s and 3s, but that's so nice. It's warm without being too much. And the Autumn Day candle, again, you see last year I only burned it halfway. It was intense. You really had to be in the mood for it because of the sandalwood, the amber. It was so much. But cedarwood and the applewood and whatever the spice blend in there, again, I do think there's a little bit of cardamom shared between both of these, but way toned down for Autumn Night. Really, really loving it. 2 others to compare it to, just because similar notes, maybe. Cedarwood Trail from last year, which was cedarwood, and then it had neroli and soft musk. Neroli is a citrus, which Autumn Night does not have any. I really like Cedarwood Trail. It also is not coming back this year. It seems like last year they did a lot in their White Barn collection that just either didn't go wide last year or this year are not coming back. Things like, Pine Cone and Autumn Snow and Sandalwood Citrus and Sage and Cedar, or maybe Sandalwood Citrus is back, but Sage and Cedar I don't think. This was really quite sweet from the cedar and then neroli. I really, really liked it, and it's similar in the sense of the mood, but Autumn Night, it just, it has something else to it. Perhaps the spices, maybe that applewood really kind of sweetens it up versus just the cedarwood, and the musk. There's no musk in that. And the other one that it reminds me of a bit is Harvest Gathering, number 4, which last year it kind of was under the radar, but they're bringing it back this year, so it must be popular enough. The notes in that one, well, last year and this year they're different. Last year they say fresh pumpkin, warm harvest spices, and apples. I think this year the notes only say apples and other things. They don't say pumpkin. And this one, again, this is super... It was more like the red, delicious apple rind with some spices and sort of a musk, or like, not a sandalwood, but some sort of a wood or something in there, more than just pumpkin, spices, and apples, because it's not, that would be pumpkin apple candle, right? So there's sort of like something else, sort of earthy or mossy in Harvest Gathering. That I'd say that almost is stronger as well in the powderiness than Autumn Night. I just keep smelling it over and over. It really is a more sophisticated mix of Applewood Bonfire and Autumn Day Acorn and Fig. Kind of balances the two perfectly. And I love it. It's really a perfect evening, Autumn Night candle. So they completely nailed this candle, and I'm super happy to see it out. I highly recommend it for anyone, even if you don't really love the conceptual ones. If you're not buying autumn or leaves, this is one that's worth trying. I'd almost say there's sort of like the golden nectar-ness of leaves. There's a tiniest hint of that in here. It shares similarities to leaves. So I'd say if you don't like the conceptual ones, but you do like leaves, you will probably like Autumn Night, because it's that same sort of, it's got enough of the spices and the woodsy to it without being too heavy, and it's got enough of that sweetness without being too, certainly not fruity or anything like that, that this is a really, really nicely blended candle. So that's basically all I've got to say on Autumn Night. Continue the convo here or over on facebook.com/TouchTheFireTwice, and hopefully I'll have some newness reviews for you soon as well. And that's about it. Until next time, take care.